Well, this is interesting. John Terry trying to buy part of Chelsea?
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought.
Yeah, what's happening, people? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. We're talking about Matt Law's article on The Telegraph about John Terry and co. trying to buy a share of Chelsea, 10%, which actually is quite a lot if you think of like minority shareholders in billion-pound clubs or multi-billion-pound clubs. It's a lot. What's he up to? Where's the money coming from? What's going on? All these questions to be answered here today on this video, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me. Settle in, get comfortable, pour yourself a drink, relax, recline, because we're going to get into it today. From The Telegraph, like I said, Matt Law. Yeah. It's an exclusive from Big Matt himself. John Terry is part of a group that are among those exploring the prospect of buying a stake in Chelsea, with co-controlling owner Todd Boehly open to new investment. He's probably like, someone come buy this problem off me, man. I can't take it anymore. Yes, it doesn't really sound like Todd Boehly. In fact, that's probably quite an insulting American accent, so sorry to those from across the pond. Former Chelsea captain Terry and his partners are looking into making an offer for 10%, which again is a lot. It's like, what's £250 million worth or something? I don't know. That would incorporate fan investment into Chelsea through the online technology platform Primary Bid, whose co-founder and chief executive Anand Sambhazivan, that's his name, is a season ticket holder at Stamford Bridge. Good start. The co-founder of the Primary Bid, which is the platform that would get the fans to buy Chelsea, he's a season ticket holder, and John Terry, despite all his NFT shenanigans, you'd have to believe, as a true Chelsea fan, ultimately would have our best interests at heart. Right? Terry's group is one of the number of potential investors in Chelsea, some who've had been interested in Manchester United, although it remains to be seen if they can remain enough cash. This is not the first time Terry has looked into investing into Chelsea, having been part of the, quote, True Blue consortium during the bidding process that, of course, saw Clearlake and Boehly buy Chelsea for £2.5 billion, plus, of course, a dedicated investment of £1.755 billion to come. And additional commitments, Clearlake owns just over 60%, so they are the majority shareholder. And, of course, the rest is between Boehly, Hans-Jörg Wyss, and Mark Walter, or Weiss, Wyss, however you say it. Hans-Jörg, I think he literally just put, like, $1 million or $2 million in. I don't know where he keeps getting referenced, but I think he's a very minority shareholder. It's unclear where the proposed 10% stake would come from, or whether Boehly would be prepared to reduce his equity to make room for Terry or a new investor. So are we chipping away off Boehly's equity? Already, the headlines, the SEO, the algorithms, they use Todd Boehly as Chelsea's owner, where I don't know how much he owns. But if he's going to sell 10%, how much does he own? 20%? We're really owned by Clearlake Capital, but that's not really spoken about enough. So we need to figure out whether it's Boehly selling off his percentage here, because if it is, he'll have like nothing. Everyone, you have these TalkSport headlines and these newspaper headlines of Boehly's Chelsea, what's Boehly doing at Chelsea, when he'll probably own like friggin' nothing of Chelsea by that point. If this is speculation is correct. Interesting. It is unclear where the proposed 10% stake would come from. There you go, Matt Law writes this. Or whether Boehly would be prepared to reduce his own, which again can't be that high to allow Terry to become a new investor. While Terry's consortium did not form part of the new ownership, he, together with at least one other member of the original group, so the True Blue gang, remains interested in buying a stake in Chelsea. There's also been interest from a number of other firms and individuals, American companies, who also made investment to Manchester United or offers. Yeah, so Boehly is welcoming. I mean, should we be worried about this? How the Chelsea ownership are welcoming investment, or is that normal? Is that just selling off? Was that always part of the plan? It was always the plan to put stakes in your hand. Do we want that? Is it normal? I just don't know. It's believed that Bowley would favour an equity investment, with sources under the impression that a 10% stake in the club is available to help bring big ticket growth to prospects such as the new stadium. So this investment money will help towards the stadium, the Cobham redevelopment plans, and to expand their multi-club model. Terry is still working with tech businessman Harley Kisberg, who is part of the original True Blue group. So that's his homie from the original gang, over a potential bid that would involve fan investment through the Primary Bid. Registered with the Financial Conduct Authority, Primary Bid is described as an online investment platform designed to help large pools of investors buy shares in companies. When approached by the Telegraph Sport on Terry's interest in buying a stake, John Terry's representative chose not to comment. Interesting. So Primary Bid is a platform, I guess, and again, I'm speculating here to a degree, that would allow a pool of investors, maybe Chelsea fans, to buy a part of Chelsea, to buy a part of their stake, essentially. So they buy 10% of Chelsea, so $250 million's worth or whatever, and then you can buy a portion of that, and that money gets fed into the Chelsea, into the club, and from there they'll use that additional investment to do big important things like stadium redevelopment. Of course, they've already pledged $1.75 billion to additional costs and redevelopments of Chelsea, but probably there's been a lot of it. They've spent a lot of money, and they probably would think, well, a little bit more just for this sort of time now, because Chelsea is still ultimately in a transition historically. You know, we'll get a new stadium, new training ground, we've got a new squad with more players to come, new management, multiple new management teams. So there'll be this early period where they're probably thinking, right, we'll just get this all paid for now, and maybe trim off a couple of percent in terms of equity. Investment into Chelsea could be timely for both Bowley and Clearlake. Bowley hosted Terry in his box for Chelsea's victory over Luton Town, our only win this season in the league, but it's understood that was just a sort of casual chat. Other than exploring possibilities for investing in Chelsea, Terry has held talks with other candidates in presidential elections at Saudi Arabia. Yeah, he's doing stuff in Saudi Arabia, isn't he? He's been linked with manager roles. Apparently, he's been interviewed for a role for player recruitment. Let's say Terry is following the money. I'm just going to quickly say here and interject. John Terry, I don't really know what his plans have been of late. Of course, he did like the chimp NFT scheme. A lot of people accused him of a pump and dump. Loads of people spent a lot of money on them, and they were down value 99%. Loads of people lost their money. It's not a good look. I've said this before, I've been pretty open about this. He blocked me on Twitter when I asked him about it, without even responding. And that was kind of disappointing. Obviously, as a football Chelsea fan, I'm forever grateful and in awe of John Terry as a captain and a player for Chelsea. And by the way, I don't want this to turn into any form of hit piece of JT. Everyone that I've spoken to that have come across John and have dealt with him, I've said he's the nicest guy ever. He always makes time for people, whether it's the youngsters and the kids, and goes to the games, or he'll just make time for people. And, apparently he's very generous. So you have to go off what people's intimate experiences have been like with someone. So, it's just important to say that. Terry works with the Chelsea Academy and has also embarked on a one-man tour to talk about his career with the Blues, Aston Villa and England, as well as take questions from fans. One date has already taken place with 3 remaining. The former defender last week said all the proceeds from his Evening with John Terry tour, during fans being charged £100 for an autograph, are going to the John Terry Foundation, which is supporting a number of different charities. That statement via video on social media, and the fact money has already been raised for the John Terry's name, is being examined by the Charity Commission, and John, his foundation has not been registered with the regulator, and no application has yet been made. Sources close to Terry insist work is taking place on an application with the aim that John Terry will be registered with the Charity Commission. Yeah, look, man, he is not taking charity money and putting it in his pocket. There's just no way he'd do that. Right? Nah, sure, definitely not. Interest and investment into Chelsea could be timely for Bowley and Clearlake, with the club hoping to get the green light with the major steps forward in their new multi-club model. Of course, they're looking to buy clubs in Portugal. Is it Sporting they're trying to get a share of, which is like one of the big three clubs in Portugal. Look, what they tried to buy, what club did they try to buy? Portimonense? I can't pronounce the name. But to go straight for Sporting is like a massive club. Huge players come from Sporting. Manchester United spent loads. Didn't Bruno Fernandes come there for a lot of money? So Chelsea would do very well to buy Sporting. Although I don't think it will be a majority. I have no idea how much they're trying to buy, but it's pretty incredible that they're aiming that high. Chelsea have agreed an £80 million deal to buy the Stoll housing site next to Stamford Bridge. There you go, with a 9-week residence consultation period expiring on Wednesday. So this is the land around Stamford Bridge. Of course, we're not moving, we're rebuilding, and we need more land to rebuild the whole area. It's not just going to be the stadium, it's going to be the surrounding area that's going to look a lot better. So yeah, that had to be done, and looks like they've managed to buy the additional plot of land. That means Chelsea could go ahead with the proceed and purchase of the land over the course of the next month and boost hopes for fans who want the club to remain developed to Stamford Bridge. If they commit 80 million quid to this new land there, they are absolutely committing to staying. Make no bones about it, they are not going to waste 80 million quid on that. Buying the Stoll land would give Bowley and Clearlake greater scope to redevelop Stamford Bridge on its current site, although the possibility of a move to a new site, which would need approval from the Chelsea pitch owners, has yet to be ruled out, with the club still analysing both options closely. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can just throw 80 million quid away and go, oh well, we'll move. I suppose, saying that, the SW6, that real estate where they are, that location, and if they buy the Stoll estate and just have even more land, that land is worth ridiculous amounts of money. So it's not like they're just wasting it. I suppose if they did relocate, they'd have this land that is worth ridiculous amounts of cash, ultimately. So they'll be okay with that, I suppose. But I think almost certainly we're going to stay where we are. And like I said, the pitch owners, CPO, they won't sign off on a move, especially with how things are Chelsea going at the moment. If Chelsea were top of the Premier League and, since they come in, we've already won the Champions League and we're going to win the Champions League again, and maybe they'd be like, all right, you guys are fun. Well, they probably wouldn't bend that easy, but do you know what I mean? Fans would be a bit more like, just believe in the new owners and believe in their vision. But the fact how things have been so stodgy and worrying and fragmented so far, decisions that would be deemed negative would be deemed even more negative, if that makes sense. So let's bring it home. John Terry in theory, fans will welcome the idea of John Terry buying a stake in Chelsea, especially if he's utilising a platform that could allow Chelsea fans to buy a portion of the club. It's all good PR, certainly, and whether that would have an influence and sway on essentially what the people see on the pitch, I'm not so sure, but that's what people will hope for. Anyway, let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me. Daily videos, of course, here on the channel. At least one video, maybe two. So thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you guys very soon, hopefully.